This one could be short. This one could be long. I don't know. We're foregoing the entrance music and all those wonderful things. It's just me talking. I'm a fairly optimistic person. I like to be optimistic. I've learned to separate things from my life that are extremely pessimistic. I believe in that. I don't believe in taking things out of your life just because you disagree with them. That's completely different. That's ridiculous. That puts yourself in an echo chamber, and that dumbs you down, and it doesn't improve anything about your life. But on the other hand, cutting negativity out, that's a completely different thing altogether. And I feel it's vital, very vital. You can never get rid of all of it, but you can impact it. You can at least make an effort. And I do that as much as possible. One of the most important things about eliminating negativity is to not engage in negativity. I find certain things reek of negativity often. Political debate, religious debate, financial debates. Those things seem to just encompass negativity. And so I try to keep them out. I do keep the mainstream media out. That's not a Trump thing. That's a common sense thing. I knew that the news was fake well before Donald Trump ever told anyone. And I just assumed that anybody with any intelligence knew that the news was fake. I don't know who told him the news was fake, because I've never viewed him as a super intelligent man. More intelligent than some, but never a phenomenal thinker. But I just assumed that everyone knew that the news was fake. It's controlled by the media. And if it's not saying what you want, then everyone agrees. But if it's saying what you want, then it's dependent upon what the news says to who agrees with that statement. But regardless of what they say, I feel that it's fake. There's still good news out there. And another thing is, that may even be an unfair statement. The news is opinion 90% of the time. And that's what people tune in for. But I cut that negativity out. I cut a lot of negativity out. I think it's important to cut negativity out. But I think we've already done a podcast on negativity. That's not really what this podcast is about. I spent 2 days researching the coronavirus to do a podcast on the coronavirus. Then I heard some family members talking, some of my wife's family. And then I heard some friends of mine on a podcast. And then I done something unusual for me, and I dipped my toe into the news a little bit and kind of looked at the news. And then I looked at social media, and I realized something. It does not matter how much time and effort I took researching, looking at numbers, looking at those things. It would have no impact. It would have zero. Because this is a political issue. That's what it's become. It's not what it should be, but that's what it's become. And when it comes to political issues, one of the reasons I said I would always stay away from political issues, even though I've touched many of them as of late, is because you can't change minds. When it comes to political issues, people who are political, they don't think. They've lost the ability to think. They're trained. They're being led. And that goes for all of you. It doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. It doesn't matter if you're a Bernie fan or a Trump fan. You're being led. You lend yourself well to being led. And so, being that you're easily led, the sheep follow the shepherd. I looked at the coronavirus as an interesting topic, something fun to debate, something fun to look at and talk to people about, and something fun to present. And then when I realized how political it had become, it no longer had any appeal to me. I recorded the episode and deleted it, and I have no regrets about that. It would change nothing. I feel that the few people, and there's not many, who can still tolerate this podcast, because I'm sure it's probably not the most entertaining thing in the world, aren't here for political conversation anyway. And that it may interest them, but I don't know. I lost the interest myself because, again, it becomes something very political. And it becomes politicized from both sides. But today, I've seen more pictures of Walmart shelves cleared out and all these things. And I've seen a lot of fake statistics, a lot of things that I don't understand how, when you look at them, to have them backed up, it falls apart. And that's on both sides. I'm not mad at people. I like people. Love people. It's okay to be afraid. I understand that. But information is available. Information outside of the evening news. You don't have to listen to what the president has to say because, let's be honest, somebody's having to tell him what to say, and at this point it doesn't sound like he's got the best people around him like he's always claimed. And you don't have to listen to CNN and NBC and ABC and Fox News. You don't have to listen to them. There's other information out there. World Health Organization's out there. There's a lot of information out there. That's not supposed to be a political thing. It's supposed to be an illness. Now, there's not a vaccine for it like there is with the flu, so, nobody's vaccinated against it. It's going to spread. It's going to spread a lot more than it has so far. That's not even really science, I don't guess, as much as common sense. I don't know where you draw the line there. I'm not upset with people for being afraid. I've got an autistic son who doesn't take medicines, and there's not really any medicines they could give him, but any illness, especially if it causes him to run a temperature, he's probably going to have to be hospitalized. There's people in my life I don't want to see sick. There's people in my life that probably couldn't live through it. Just like the flu. Just like almost anything else. And yes, statistically, number-wise, you look at all these other diseases, blah, blah, blah. That obviously has no impact on people. It doesn't matter. The news media have whipped us into a frenzy. We're clearing out shelves at Walmarts and Walgreens and all these different stores. If that's true, I don't know. I've not been in any of those stores. But it appears to be true. Because there's sure enough people saying it. And, the president has calmed us, with statements that don't exactly seem to be factual to me. So, one group of people are going completely crazy in one direction and being facetious about this issue at hand, and then the other side is doing the same exact thing. And I say the other side because not even on a political level, it's very much the president against the media. Probably the only redeeming quality that Trump has. The media despises him. I want to be despised by the media. I don't want them to like me. I don't want them to adore me or to praise me because they're monsters. But if your leaders are misleading you, and the news is misleading you, and social media is misleading you, and your friends are posting things that aren't factual, and they're misleading you, if everyone's misleading you, what do? You block the negative out of life. Obviously I have all the answers. Look at how great I've done at life up to this point. I don't claim to know everything. I don't even know how much I claim to know. But I have enough common sense to realize that we're very seldomly fed the truth. For a couple reasons. One, the truth often isn't very palatable. And two, the truth is often inconvenient. Not only for the people who are lying to us, but for us. We, the American people in particular, are not known for our love for the truth. I'm concerned. I'm worried. But not about the coronavirus. I mean, I am. I'm worried about people getting it who can't take it. I'm worried about a lot of different things. I'm worried about people getting any illness. History often repeats itself. I mean, we're supposed to learn from that. We're not. We're getting worse at it. From bird flu to swine flu to SARS to coronas. I mean, at what point did we get better at this? Here's the issue. What if the early statistics are wrong? What if the early information is wrong? What if the scientists, the real scientists who are looking at this rationally right now, are wrong? What if the president's wrong? What if the news is right? See, that's what would be... Or what if this time next year there's something out there that we should really be afraid of? Something that can really have a much larger impact. That's scary. Because this has proven we don't have the ability to handle it. We don't have the ability to function. We don't have the ability to intelligently do anything. Anything but cower and fear. We're not organized. Not as a country, not as states, not as communities, not as households for the most part. We're not ready. I don't mean living in fear and stockpiling weapons and food and antibiotics, and if that's your lifestyle, do that. But I'm saying those people may be prepared. We're not. As a whole, the public as a whole, we're not prepared. I mean, this is going to get worse. I see no indications that the coronavirus is just going to go away. I have seen no indications that it's just going to stop. I've seen no one predicting that to be the case. Well, let me rephrase that. I've seen some political analysts who think this will just blow over, but they're not very intelligent. That's why they're political analysts. But scientifically, I've seen no one with any value or measure in their knowledge base say that this is just going to go away. It's going to get worse. It's going to spread. It's unchecked. There's no vaccine. And then there's the flu comparison. The numbers are out there. The statistics are out there. The flu's probably going to kill more people regardless of what happens with the coronavirus. It just is what it is. But I do think that we'll get a hold on it eventually, and I do think it'll fade away. And by this time next year, we'll have a vaccine for it. But for all those people like myself who never took a flu vaccine, who keep the flu circulating, we're going to have the same issue with the coronavirus. Once we get the vaccine, is everyone going to take the vaccine? No. And upon taking the vaccines, are we just building our immune systems to a point of no return, to where these new things just keep popping up and we keep having to create new vaccines, and eventually the unvaccinated will die, and then eventually, far enough down the line, the vaccinated will die. See, I like to be optimistic. I like to say Americans can pull through anything, and for the most part, we always have. And we'll pull through this. This won't be the end of us. It won't be the end of us because of what it is. But what if it was something much worse? What if it was this killer disease that they're making it out to be? We'd stand no chance. We would be eradicated. Because we're not ready. Because our leaders are pathetic. They're pathetic. They're handling it pathetically. Because the Democratic Party, who is using this as a weapon, are pathetic. Because the Republican leadership in office, who's not handling it appropriately, are pathetic. Because the news media, who's fear-mongering, is pathetic. Because the people who are spilling lies and misinformation and just hearsay on social media are pathetic. And those are the issues. We're weak, and we're weak for that. I like to be optimistic, but, I mean, right now, we're surrounded by a pessimistic nation. Now, I know that we'll pull through this, and I know that everything will be fine. I may pass away from the coronavirus. I may lose a family member to it. I also may lose a family member to the flu. Pneumonia. Pneumonia is the issue, and I would have to assume, and again, I looked at a lot of research, but not every bit of research, that based on some of the descriptions I read, that pneumonia is probably a very big issue with the coronavirus. I've heard from the survivors, too, and seen that, and you take that with a grain of salt for what it is. I like to be optimistic. And in the long run, things generally work out good. But in the short term, man, people suck. They have the ability to really screw things up. But in all my optimism, occasionally doubt creeps in. It always does. This is a quick little podcast. No intro music. None of the fancy dressings that you usually give them. And as I'm leaving, let's play pessimist. Let's imagine that we're the illness. Yeah. And let's imagine that the earth is the host. And let's imagine that the coronavirus, it's the vaccine. That won't take us all out. Maybe it'll take enough out to where the earth could start over. Rejuvenate. Try again. Is that pessimistic enough for you? Maybe we're the issue. Maybe we're the virus. Maybe we're the bacteria. Maybe we are whatever. Insert negative here. I mean, look at what we do to this place. It's very similar to what cancer does to us. Maybe the earth deserves a good cleansing. Maybe we deserve another plague. I mean, if you want to be pessimistic. But I refuse to be. I think people are, for the most part, good. I think we're getting better. We've made mistakes. We're learning from them. We're improving and we're moving forward. Americans, some of the best people in the world. We just have this nasty habit of trusting leaders and putting faith in the media. Two nasty, horrible habits that we should probably break, and break quickly. I like to be optimistic. I think that we will. I honestly think that we've done some things to change that. And I think that some of the people that some of us hate the most have led that charge. Although unwittingly, because they weren't that intelligent to begin with. But, yeah. I like to be optimistic. If I die from coronavirus, play this and go, he didn't take it seriously enough. He wasn't scared enough. He didn't go to Walmart and buy everything out. He didn't show the proper amount of fear. Could someone tell me exactly what the proper amount of fear is? What's the proper response? What is it? To be nonchalant and ignore it and laugh it away? Well, I find that to be ignorant. To cower in fear. To spread information, regardless if it can be proven or not, and to insist on our deadly demise at the hands of this horrendous plague. Well, that seems ridiculous as well. Or just to kind of look at the numbers, look at the facts, look at the information as it comes in, and take it day by day. Be worried when it's necessary to worry. Be sensible when it's necessary to be sensible. But be compassionate at all times, and above everything else, be optimistic.